Hello, everyone. Welcome you once again to this program, The Sword of the Spirit. I'm David Olajire, the preacher working with the Church of Christ Ogombo, Lagos, Nigeria. I'll plead with you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so, and it will be good if you can share the videos on this channel because there are so many people who need this truth. So as you are listening to them, you also do well to share it to others. And I appreciate all those who have been encouraging us to continue in this good work. Today, I want us to look at one of the first claims of the Muslim. The Muslims claim that Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18 and 19 is talking about Muhammad. The Quran claims that the Old Testament, the scriptures, both the Old Testament and New Testament, talks of Muhammad, and that Muhammad was prophesied in the books of the Bible, and they claim that the Comforter is Muhammad. When you read the Bible, you understand that doesn't make sense. The claim doesn't make sense. But one of their strongest claim is in Deuteronomy chapter 18. It is the strongest passage they've ever been using in the Bible to claim that the Bible talk about Muhammad. And almost all Muslim apologetics use this very passage when they want to talk about Muhammad in the Bible. And other Muslims who are not so learned have been drugged to believe that what Deuteronomy 18 is saying is simply referring to Muhammad, and that it is not possible for it to refer to any other person but Muhammad. So let's see if this can be true. Could Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18 and 19 be talking about Muhammad? Why are we examining this? We are examining this because if the Bible should talk about Muhammad, and should put Muhammad in a better light as Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18 and 19 does, it simply means that Islam is a true religion of God. That's what simply means, because there are some people who feel like we should not be discussing this kind of things that has to do with another religion or others' faith. But not discussing about them puts your own faith in jeopardy, because if what they believe in is true, then you are in error. If Deuteronomy 18 should be talking about Muhammad, then the Christian faith should pave way for Islam. And also, we are looking at this because the Bible in Acts chapter 7 and in Acts chapter 3 said that Jesus is the prophet Moses was referring to. So if we should not have Muhammad fit into that picture, it means the Bible has lied, because the Bible told us someone else is. Meanwhile, Muhammad is the one who should be there. And it also means that the Bible is a book that we cannot trust. But I trusted the Bible, and I still trust the Bible because I found no lie in the Bible. And if you've been trusting the Bible, I want to tell you well done, because you've been trusting a very genuine book. Now let's go straight to the point. The passage before us is Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18. He said, I will raise them up, a prophet. This was God talking to Moses to tell the children of Israel. He said, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, that is the prophet who be like Moses. And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. So according to Muslim, Muhammad is the another prophet mentioned in this passage. But a careful examination of the passage and other passages of the scriptures shows that Muhammad can never ever fit in to that passage. The first thing Muslims try to do to disqualify Jesus and every other person as the prophet in that Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18, is to say that Jesus was not a prophet who hears from God. Jesus, in several places, said he heard from God. In John chapter 8, verse 28, the Bible has this to say, Then said Jesus unto them, When ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall you know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father taught me, I speak these things. So Jesus in this passage is simply saying that God, the Father, was the one teaching him all that he has been saying. And if you look at John chapter 12, verse 48 to 49, you see that Jesus made it clear emphatically that his words will be used on the day of judgment. Why? Because he was not speaking of his own accord, but whatever the Father says he should speak, that was what he was speaking. So Jesus says simply that whatever he was saying was what God wanted him, what God the Father wanted him to say. So Jesus was a prophet. He heard from God and he was speaking from God. A prophet is one who foretells what will happen. A prophet sometimes tells what has happened, like Moses did in Genesis chapter 1, throughout the book of Genesis. And a prophet also tells what will happen in the future. Jesus foretold the destruction of Jerusalem in Matthew chapter 24. And he foretold his death in Matthew 16 verse 21, making it clear that he will suffer so many things in the hands of the scribes and the Pharisees, and that he will die. He even said that he will resurrect the third day. He foretold his death and his resurrection. Jesus foretold who will betray him. In Matthew chapter 26, verse 21 to 23, he made it clear that among his apostles, one will betray him. And when they asked who will betray him, he said he who dips his hand together with him when he wants to take the bread. So Jesus foretold the destruction of Jerusalem. He foretold his death and resurrection. He foretold who will betray him. He even foretold the denial by Peter. He said, Peter will deny him 3 times before the cock crows in Matthew chapter 26, verse 34. And all this thing happened the way Jesus said it. Some prophets were blessed with the gift of miracles. Some prophets could perform miracles. And the Bible recorded that Jesus performed so many miracles. In John chapter 20, verse 30 to 31, we are told that Jesus did so many miracles that it could not and could never be written down. If it should be written down, the whole world would not be able to contain it. In fact, Jesus was more of a prophet than Muhammad. Muhammad only claimed to have received revelation from God. He did not perform any miracles. He did not foretell anything. He did not prophesy about anything that is going to happen. So if anyone should be fit to be called a prophet, it is Jesus and not Muhammad. And Muslims also, that point of the Muslim that Jesus was not a prophet has been perfectly debunked. And Muslims also say that the word from among their brethren excludes Jesus. Muslims claim that when the word brethren is used, it is talking about distant relation and not close relation. This is laughable because anyone who understands a bit of English will know that the word brethren is a form of brother. And even the Bible uses in so many places. Jesus was a brother to the Israelites. It was from one of the tribes of Israel. In Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14, the Bible points clearly that it is an unarguable fact. It's something that you cannot argue. It said, For we know evidently that Jesus was from the tribe of Judah. So Jesus was from the tribe of Judah. No, Israel had 12 sons, and Jesus was from the tribe of one of his sons. So Muhammad was an alleged descendant of Ishmael. Why did I say he was an alleged descendant of Ishmael? It can never be proven by any Muslim in the world that Muhammad was a descendant of Ishmael. No Muslim can ever prove it. But I can prove that Jesus was a descendant of Israel. In Matthew chapter 1, we have his genealogy there. In Luke chapter 3, we have his genealogy there. But we don't have any single record of the genealogy of Muhammad. Muhammad only claims to be from the tribe of Quraysh. We know if his family were actually from the tribe of Quraysh. Who knows if we should check his genealogy, we will not find that maybe one of his family was a stranger there, and having stayed long in that place, was just called the Quraysh, the way Jesus was called a Nazarene, though he wasn't from Nazareth. So Muhammad it cannot be proven that he was from the tribe of Ishmael. And also in the Bible did not call the tribe of Ishmael the brothers of Israel. The Bible called the tribe of Esau the brethren of Israel. But never did the Bible call the tribe of Ishmael, the brothers of Israel. In Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 4, we have it recorded that the descendants of Esau, the Edomites, were were brethren, or are the brethren of the Israelites. But we don't have such record regarding the descendants of Ishmael. And the Bible, the Muslims claim that the word brethren means distant relation. But the Bible used the word brethren for people who are too close, people who are the same, from the same family, the same tribe, the same nation. In Exodus chapter 1, verse 6, the Bible said, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. The brethren here was definitely talking about the brothers of Joseph, the 11 brothers of Joseph, and not people from other tribe. So the Bible used brethren for people who are close relation. In Leviticus chapter 10, after the death of Nadab and Abihu, the Bible said Moses, in Leviticus chapter 10, after the death of Nadab and Abihu, the Bible said, Moses said unto the children, Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, come now, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary of the camp. Come and carry your brethren, come and carry your brothers. Not people who are distant, but people who are so close to themselves. And this is repeated in all the passages of the Bible where the word brethren is used. Is mostly used for those who have close relation. And even if it should be used for distant relation, it was never used for the descendants of Ishmael. And Muhammad was an alleged descendant of Ishmael. So Muhammad can never be a brother to the Israelite, was never a brother to the Israelite, as referred in the scriptures. And also the Muslim claims that since the Bible said the prophet will be like Moses, it excludes Jesus completely. That if it is not Muhammad, it can never be Jesus. Why? He said we need something that will resemble Moses completely. This is useless. It is a pointless argument, because if we should just look at someone who will be like Moses, then everyone is fit to be called the prophet. I am fit to be called the prophet because I'm a human. Moses was a human. I have blood running under my flesh, and Moses have blood running under his flesh too. I have my mother and my father, and Moses have earthly mother and father too. So anyone can just be called that prophet. Even idolaters can be called the prophet, because if we should just look at the resemblance without looking at the initials, then we will get it all wrong. So it is stupid argument. It is pointless argument to say, since the Bible said the prophet will be like Moses, then it excludes Jesus. And if it is not Muhammad, it cannot be Jesus. Muhammad did not fit in the two initials, which is that the person must be a prophet and that the person must come from the descendant of Israel. Muhammad did not fit. So this takes out Muhammad completely. Now we just need to look at, is this passage, or could this passage be talking about Jesus? Now, let's now see if Jesus actually looks like Moses, because the Bible said the prophet will be like Moses. In Acts chapter 3, verse 21, the Bible already said that the person the passage is talking about was Jesus. And in Acts chapter 7, verse 37. Now, the Bible tells us plainly. You see why I love the Bible? I love the Bible because it never leaves you in doubt. It explains to you things that may seem as mystery to others. So the Quran, for example, just told the Muslims, hey, the Muhammad is mentioned in the Bible. But the Quran did not tell them where and how it was mentioned in the Bible. The Quran just said it was mentioned in the Bible. So the Muslims go through the Bible, they scatter all the Bible, trying to find where the Bible mentioned Muhammad. And it gives them headache because they've never been able to see it. So they try to pick up different passages to just want to claim that the Bible is talking about Muhammad. And it is laughable that the Muslims sometimes go to the book of the Songs of Solomon. The same book they condemn as pornographic. They go there to claim that the word Muhammad is there. I told the Muslims some time ago, I said, if the book of the Song of Solomon should talk about Muhammad, and you've been condemning it that it is a pornographic book, that means the only thing the Bible says about Muhammad is that he was a pornographer. I'm sorry if that language is too harsh, but that's just the truth. We have to tell the truth. So the Bible gives us the resemblance between Moses and Jesus. Why people may be looking at the physical resemblance, Jesus, God was focused on the spiritual resemblance. In John chapter 1 verse 17, the Bible said, the law came through Moses, but faith and grace through Jesus. You see, we now have two things. The both of them brought something from God. God gave them things. And in Hebrews chapter 3 verse 1 to 6, the Bible gives us more resemblance between Moses and Jesus. The Bible said, wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Jesus Christ, who was faithful to him that appointed him, as also Moses was faithful in all his house. For this man was counted more worthy of more glory than Moses, inasmuch as he who had builded the house had more honor than the house. For every house is builded by some man, but he that built all things is God. And Moses verily was faithful in all his house as a servant, for a testimony of those things which were to be spoken after. But Christ as a son over his own house, whose house are we? So you see, the Bible now gives us the resemblance between Moses and Jesus. This is Moses, this is Jesus. This is what makes them resemble. This is why I said that I will raise up a prophet like unto you. And Jesus was like unto Moses. But Muhammad was not. And if Muslims should think that I am not saying the truth, that what I'm saying is not the truth, I would not argue with them so much than to tell them to provide a single passage in the Quran that likens Moses to Muhammad. That likens Moses to Muhammad. They should not come to tell that Muhammad was a human, Moses was a human. Or they should not come to tell that Muhammad has an earthly father and earthly mother, and Moses has earthly father and earthly mother. That's stupid, because every other person can also fit into that resemblance. So they should give us a single passage that compares Muhammad to Jesus. And also, the last thing the Muslim will want to say is that the Bible said God will put his word into the mouth of the prophet, and that will be a recitation. Funnily, interestingly, Moses never did a recitation. God told Moses, and Moses will go to tell the children of Israel. And not in the same way God did not reveal himself to Moses, the same way he revealed himself to, the same way it is claimed that Allah revealed himself to Muhammad. When Allah was revealing himself to Muhammad, Allah had to squeeze Muhammad by the neck as if he wanted to kill Muhammad. This never happened to Moses. When Allah wants to reveal anything to Muhammad, Muhammad will begin to sweat and he will have like headache. Moses never had such experience. Muhammad, when he's receiving a revelation from God, it will just be repeating what is being said, and some other people will be writing it, and sometimes he will come to remember it. That never happened to Moses. God told Moses, go tell, and Moses will just go to tell. And that is the same thing God did with Jesus. The passage we read earlier in John chapter 12, verse 48 and 49, and John 8, verse 28, makes it clear that God was speaking to Jesus, and Jesus was in turn speaking to others. In John chapter 17, verse 8, the Bible said, for I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee, and they have believed that thou didst send me. So Jesus was speaking what God said. So the evidence is that Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18 to 19 is pointing to Jesus is overwhelming. And the chief evidence is that the Bible clearly points Jesus as the prophet. The Bible states clearly that Jesus was that prophet. Whereas the Quran doesn't point, the Quran did not do it. The Quran did not point. And the Quran could not point that Muhammad was the prophet. The Quran should have just brought it up that I am the prophet Moses was talking about in this passage, just like the Bible does. So that's the chief evidence. So if a Muslim should meet me and try to say that Deuteronomy 18 was talking about Muhammad, I would just tell him, see, the Bible makes it clear that this passage was talking about Jesus. Now you show me where it is in the Quran. So far, beloved, we've seen that Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18 to 19 is not talking about Muhammad, but about Jesus. And we've given points. 1, Jesus was a better prophet than Muhammad. 2, Jesus was from the tribe of Israel, one of the brethren. And Muhammad was not, and the Bible did not call Ishmael one of the brothers. And 3, that Jesus was speaking the words of God, and that Jesus was pointed in the Bible to be to have resemblance with Moses. So we've seen all these points. I pray that God bless you. So thank you so much for listening. And once again, I will implore you to subscribe to the channel and to share these videos so that others will benefit from the spiritual message in it. Thank you. God bless you. Amen.